India's major economy has had the fastest growth in the world over the past 2 years, and as the process of urbanization and industrialization moves into the fast takeoff phase, it is expected to maintain its top position in 2024. Compound annual growth will be slightly faster than China, twice as fast as the world economy as a whole, and 4 times faster than in the advanced economies. Seems like India is competing with China, and they do have some similarities, like two peas in a pod. How did a large consumer market make India a superpower? What other factors contributed to India's growth? And how is it in competition with China? India has a significant strategic advantage over other countries in terms of trade, social engagement, and cultural exchange. It commands trade channels that extend in all directions, sitting at the head of the Indian Ocean at the very center of the Eastern Hemisphere. Its maritime trade was thriving since ancient times because of the abundance of natural harbours on both the east and west coasts. The Indian Ocean is the only ocean globally bearing a country's name. The gulf that separates east and west is the Indian Ocean. It has been a valuable connection between the nations bordering it and those far away. Fat chance, India! India benefits greatly from these geographic characteristics in international trade. It has significant strategic importance due to its location, which also aids in sustaining trade and commerce. It facilitates its communication with the eastern coast of Asia, Africa, and Europe, as well as with the Southeast and East Asia from Eastern Asia. Additionally, it serves as a major transit hub for maritime lines that link East Asian and European nations. Also, India is a stop on the majority of aviation routes that connect East Asia, Southeast Asia, Japan, and Australia to the east and Europe, West Asia, and Africa to the west. India's commerce and cultural connections with other nations are made possible by these land and maritime routes. Also, even though the Indian decimal system of numbers spread widely, Greek sculpture and architecture from antiquity and West Asian architecture from the early Middle Ages had an impact on India. Looks like they are born with a silver spoon in their mouth. If you like this video so far, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. India's remarkable economic growth story has made it a prominent player in the world economy. It has improved its aged infrastructure and capitalized on its expanding population to reshape its economy during the past 20 years. The greatest consumer base in the world, estimated by the United Nations (UN) to be close to 1.5 billion people, is at the center of the growth story. Indians are in the driving seat. With this, it has surpassed China to become the world's most populated nation for the first time since the data series began in 1950. In fact, the year 2023 witnessed India's population overtake that of China, and this trend is expected to continue. Of course, poverty is still a major problem for Indians, but since 2005, a lot of improvement has been done. The percentage of India's population living in multidimensional poverty decreased from 55% in 2005 to 16.4% in 2021, according to UN data. It has a sizable population, but when compared to China, its working population's age and growth rate are particularly noteworthy. For instance, the population there has increased by 36% in the last 20 years, much surpassing China's population growth of only 8% in the same period. Possibly of more significance, the UN stated that over 40% of the population is under 25, and that India's estimated median age is 28, which places it almost 10 years younger than China's population base. Additionally, the data reveals that only 7% of people there are 65 years of age or older, compared to 14% in China. In contrast, it is anticipated that during the next few years, China's working age population will reach its peak. They must be as busy as a bee. It has a sizable, youthful, and sustained working age population that can sustain future economic expansion. Real salaries are likewise growing quickly. India is predicted to have the greatest compensation growth rate in the Asia-Pacific region this year, with real earnings expected to increase by 4.6%, according to the ECA International's annual compensation trends report. India is also very attractive to investors and is a crucial part of their growth story. Indian equities have had consistent inflows due to attractive profitability, GDP growth, and the economy's comparatively good recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. By March 2023, India's net foreign investments surpassed that of China. India always comes out in the wash. Also, foreign inflows have had a role in India's superior performance to China. Recently, it has received $18.9 billion in net inflows from foreign equities funds over the previous 12 months. Since March 2022, the rate of inflows from foreign equity investments has also been gradually increasing. On the other hand, after years of consistent inflows, the last year has seen a significant decline in inflows as China struggles with worsening economic conditions and increased geopolitical tensions. Alarm bells start to ring in China. Lastly, India's rise can also be attributed to its growing appeal as a substitute for China as a source of supplies, which has made it a more export-oriented nation with less dependence on domestic consumption. It has benefited from nearshoring due to the emergence of deglobalization that followed the epidemic and the rising trade tensions between the United States and China. In fact, India's exports as a proportion of GDP have increased to 22.4%, surpassing China's 20.7% GDP rate in this regard. Economic growth for India seems easy, like taking candy from a baby. India has other growth factors in addition to its rapidly expanding population of approximately 1.5 billion people. The nation's budget for this fiscal year included over $120 billion for infrastructure expenditure on building new roads and railroads, a 37% increase from the year before and more than twice the amount allocated in 2019. The government there has invested close to $2 trillion in infrastructure between 2019 and 2025. Actually, investments in infrastructure have never been below 4% of the GDP since 2008. Touch wood. Over the past few years, it has experienced a digital transformation in addition to infrastructure improvements. It is the country with the second highest number of internet users, after China with 1.1 billion. Its digital economy has been greatly boosted by the creation of its Digital Public Infrastructure Program, which offers an identity and payment interface. GDP growth projections for the next few years have been driven to 7 to 8%, due to factors such as growing real wages, rising domestic consumption, greater infrastructure spending, and India's ongoing digital revolution. In terms of GDP growth, India has overtaken China, and this trend is expected to continue in the coming years. India isn't joking. India is seeing a sharp increase in the growth of digital advertising as marketers hope that online shopping, influencer marketing, and video streaming would attract more customers to the most populated country in the entire globe. Technology research firm Omdia has forecasted that one of the fastest growing sectors of India's rapidly increasing digital economy will be online advertising. Based on indicators including internet connections, gadgets, entertainment subscriptions, payments, and enterprise IT investment, Omdia estimated that between now and 2027, India will have the fastest expanding digital economy in the world, with compound annual growth of 9.6%. At a compound annual growth rate of 12.7%, the nation is also expected to enjoy the fastest rise in internet advertising income globally over that time. They must be like a dog with two nails now. This anticipated rise in digital advertising coincides with the population growth there, which is expected to reach 1.4 billion people by 2025, with over half of them under 30. The US tech giants YouTube and Meta are benefiting from the fast adoption of digital channels. They can anticipate growth in their video advertising sales in India in the mid to high teen percentage range till 2025. YouTube, the market leader, generated revenues from video advertising in India last year of about $690 million, or 20% growth year over year. Even this was the company's slowest rise in a number of years. In India, where more than 60% of the population lives in rural regions, digestion is extremely crucial. By linking the nation, more people will have access to the advantages and prospects of a contemporary economy, helping to close the economic gap. This will be achieved by the adoption of technology, such as artificial intelligence, AI, machine learning, blockchain, cloud computing, and other technologies will increase the productivity of enterprises there, enabling them to compete on a global scale, open up new markets, develop innovative business models, and set them up for sustained success in the coming decades. Otherwise, this digital economy would be like bringing a knife to a gunfight. A number of reasons, including rising broadband penetration, technology breakthroughs, low data consumption prices, and government initiatives to develop digital infrastructure, have contributed to the rapid digitalization there. This gave rise to the nascent startup scene and entrepreneurship among the comparatively young populace, who have been fast to embrace and employ technology. It was as quick as a dog can lick a dish. Recently, India surpassed all other countries in the world in population, with 68% of its people being working-age citizens between the ages of 15 and 64. This demographic structure, also known as a demographic dividend, has the potential to produce extremely rapid economic growth in India, provided it can provide its sizable working-age population with chances for gainful employment. Such demography must be India's ball and chain. However, evidence from labour force surveys suggests that this is currently a significant economic challenge. In the non-agricultural sector, 74% of workers are engaged in low-paying informal employment in micro-enterprises, while about 45% of the workforce are still employed in farms in the agricultural sector. In fact, over 28% of young people between the ages of 15 and 29 work as unpaid helpers in household enterprises. Additionally, the agriculture industry continues to be the largest employer in this area, employing 36% of young people in employment. Did this fast growth go pear-shaped? If it is to solve the problem of creating productive jobs and take advantage of its demographic dividend, it will need to drastically realign its growth strategy and make the manner of expansion more employment-intensive. Its experience demonstrates that growth can't serve as the primary driver of job creation on its own, because the type and amount of employment possibilities provided depend on the sectoral makeup of growth. For people at the bottom end of the education and skill ladder, India's peculiar structural transition from agriculture to services has created few prospects for well-paid jobs. From them, it was like pouring water into a sieve. This is not the case in China, where labour-intensive industry for export has boomed, and low-productivity agriculture's employment proportion has rapidly climbed. The percentage of Chinese jobs in agriculture fell from 70.5% to 36.7% between 1978 and 2010. Over the same period, the similar shares in India decreased from 71.1% to 51.3%, but at a less rapid pace. India's economy and population patterns are similar to those of China in the late 1990s and early 2000s, suggesting that 2 more decades of rapid, continuous expansion may lie ahead. However, India will take its own road and face its own unique set of obstacles in terms of economic development and energy consumption. No two nations ever precisely follow the same trajectory, like a world of difference. Thanks for watching till the end. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons to receive more content. See you in the next video.